Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. Smarter than the rest. That's the focus of tonight's angle. What a Friday in the news business. Okay, so you had Mamdani and President Donald Trump holding court for just over a half hour after that highly anticipated meeting they had in the Oval. So if you were expecting or maybe hoping for them to come to verbal blows, well, you were both wrong and disappointed.
We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people. I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor.
How many people predicted that scene? Well, look, it might not be a bromance, but it could be a relationship with benefits. Both men seem to realize that while throwing insults on the campaign trail is easy and kind of fun, governing is actually really hard. And it's neither good for the country or New York for the president to be at war with the city's mayor or vice versa.
What I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis.
Two people from different parties, totally different backgrounds, setting their differences aside to work on common goals. What a novel concept. Yet, let's not forget, the policies actually do matter. Biden's open border was a nightmare for New York. Migrants taking over entire city blocks. Of course, all the crime that came along with it. We had more homelessness, a huge strain on city resources, the public schools, public health. So doling out more benefits to them, which you would think Mamdani would want to do, would simply encourage more illegals still in the United States to flock to New York. Again, which would be horrific for native-born New Yorkers. And Zoran's lust for raising taxes on the rich, even if he could get Governor Hochul to greenlight them, that's simply going to dissuade new investment and new job creators.
I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great. Look, I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now, I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great.
As long as he doesn't do the policies he campaigned on, yeah, things could be great. But wow, today was a head-turning 180-degree move for both of them, both who have spent months hammering each other.
We can respond to oligarchy and authoritarianism with the strength it fears, not the appeasement it craves. After all, if anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him.
We can't have a communist in charge. It's going to be very tough for him.
Yeah, well, but today it was like none of that was ever said.
I don't mind. So, it can go great or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great.
When we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living.
So why is the president cautiously optimistic here? An avowed socialist is going to be great for the city?
I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way. He came out of nowhere. He was at 1, then he was at 3, then he was at 5, then he was at 9. Then he went up to 17. I said, let's get a little bit interesting. Right? It's a great tribute. I mean, it's an amazing thing that he did.
Well, it's a bit over the top, but it is true. Mamdani captivated the city. But also, again, let's not kid ourselves. Mamdani thinks government is the answer to every problem. And he needs federal money if he's going to deliver on his grab bag of freebies. Did he talk to Trump about funding a new deal for New York City?
One thing I also appreciated is in our meeting to appreciate a portrait of FDR and the incredible work that was done with the New Deal, and also in thinking about what it can look like when the federal government and New York City government work together to deliver on affordability. It can be transformative.
Mamdani seems to want a new deal. Well, I guess it could sound reasonable to people who don't really know history, but it also begs the question. If New York under Mamdani punishes its own tax base, doles out money to illegals, puts criminals back on the streets, why should the rest of America subsidize those bad policies? Well, the answer is we shouldn't. Mamdani's socialism with a smile won over the TikTok crowd, but we know in practice it never works. So now what?
He's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people.
Could this really be happening? The commie and a conservative uniting on things like making housing more affordable?
We talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built. And
We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
He's slick, slick, slick. Well, for years, the angle has urged the populists on the left, and he kind of acts like a populist, and the populists on the right to work together instead of fighting each other on issues that they should agree on, like trade, better trade, of course, the middle class concerns, ending these wars. Well, today we may have seen the beginning of a little bit of a realignment in American politics. Mamdani should be credited for treating Trump like he's president of the United States and not a tyrant. And he should be credited with sitting down and discussing possible collaboration to help the working people that Trump himself put at the center of his own campaign.
Called New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job.
He thinks he'll do a great job, though. That's a head-spinning comment. But he found areas they can work on together. And I think today demonstrates, again, that the media and most on the Hill, they've never really understood Trump. Because if they truly, truly cared about improving the lives of the middle class, by the way, the middle-income people who have been pummeled by decades of globalization pushed on us by both parties, well, then they would have made an effort, all these Trump critics, to have sat down with President Trump instead of demonizing him and investigating him. None of it helped America. So here's a clue. Show President Trump the respect he deserves, and he'll reciprocate.
We had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again, and I can say again, because New York if he could be a spectacular success, I'd be very happy. I think he can bring it back.
Well, Trump's putting the good of the future of New York ahead of his own political party. That's refreshing for a lot of people to have heard that. But it all remains to be seen whether he'll be a spectacular mayor. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But today should give New Yorkers a little less to stress about if they're job creators or have any money, because this is a wake-up call also to Congress. Start working with the Trump administration on issues that Americans care about, or risk the wrath of the voters who put both he and Mamdani in office. And that's the angle.
A communist and a dictator walk into a bar.
I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries. Nobody cared. This meeting, that you people have gone crazy. Outside you have hundreds of people waiting. This is just a small little group. For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares. But they did care about this meeting.
The press was foaming at the mouth. They thought it'd be the biggest brawl since Zelensky.
Just days ago, you referred to President Trump as a despot who had betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting.
Let's try that again.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
The name calling, that's politics. Trump's been giving it and taking it his whole career. This sends a signal to Democrats that Trump's really about business. And if he really was a dictator, would you let some guy come into your house and call you that? No. And did Mamdani go in there and hide his face like Big Gretch? No. Zohran's mayor, Trump's president, so let's get down to it.
I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great.
Trump and Zohran want the same thing for the city. They both want it to be safe and affordable. They might not always agree on how to get there, but instead of bickering, they found common ground.
He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And, you know, we actually, people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Not just housing. Trump wants to rein in the electric company and help Mamdani fight crime. Trump says we're not going to throw good money after bad. He's not going to be sending money for government-run grocery stores. We're talking common sense stuff that helps the middle class. Some of their playbooks overlap.
I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis.
A lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that.
Trump looks at Zohran like young Bernie, political outsiders who have some wacky ideas but have compassion for the working man and a lot of love from their base. Some Bernie bros voted for Trump the same way some MAGA folks in Queens voted for Zohran. They have different policies with the same goals, making life more affordable for the average Joe. The difference between Zohran and Bernie, Mamdani beat the odds and the establishment.
I think he's different. All right? I think he's different. And that can be in a very positive way. But I think he's different than, you know, your typical guy runs, wins, becomes mayor.
Love him or hate him, Zohran's fresh. And Trump likes to get his hands on new brands. He can work with anyone, Jews, Muslims, communists, little rocket man. The New York relationship is based on action and results, not labels and insults. Zohran might be a communist today, but tomorrow, who knows?
He's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people.
Mamdani might come to realize some of his ideas don't work. I mean, he really never had a real job before. He's a little immature, but with Trump's help, Mamdani can help New York. And if he screws it up, that's on him. It kind of seemed like Trump knew Mamdani said a lot of things to get elected and now knows he has to govern and might have it in him.
Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
The president's giving the new mayor a fresh start and the benefit of the doubt. Whatever happens, you can't say Trump didn't try. This was great to see for the country. If Trump and Zohran can get along, we all can. Mamdani came across as gracious and respectful, but he still stood his ground. Why is that so hard for most Democrats to do? Mamdani acted like more of a man, more of a problem solver than Schumer, who's 3 times his age.
Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party?
I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats? I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City.
Humble, too, huh? There could be a new movement forming. Left-wing and right-wing populists have the potential to unite to fight for the working class. If they can't unite, well, then one has to crush the other. I think we know who wins. But Trump's outflanking Democrats here. He grabbed the only guy they have focused on the cost of living and the quality of life and brought him under his wing. Mamdani and Trump both make establishment Democrats look petty and ignorant, old and feckless. The media couldn't process what happened.
An extraordinary, flabbergasting scene in the Oval Office today. While some may have expected tension or even fireworks, in the first ever meeting between New York City's first ever Muslim mayor and the first president to ever have called for a ban on all Muslims entering the country. Instead, we got handshakes, pats on the back, niceties. No, really.
After all these years, they still don't get the guy they report on every day. They thought Trump was going to go waterboard him and shave his beard and send him back to Africa. Obama doesn't like seeing his Rainbow Coalition rally around a skinnier messiah with a funnier name. Barry's trying to make himself the mentor-in-chief. Barack and Pelosi huddled dozens of Democrats into a house and gave them a little pep talk. Obama put out some soda, water, crackers, and crudité, and gave Democrats his keys to success. I get feeling discouraged sometimes. I get feeling worn out, tired, and embattled. But in our second term, we used to pass out stickers. We do not succumb to cynicism. Cynicism is our enemy. Stickers? That's Barack's cure? Don't be cynical? That's your pep talk? He says he wants to build a party that can survive without him. Barack's been out of office for a decade. Take a hike. Republicans aren't asking George Bush for help. They grew into a new party and let Bush enjoy retirement. The Obamas should do the same because they're not really helping anyway. The brothers didn't listen to Barack, and now Michelle's saying America's too sexist for a lady president. MSNBC is MS angry.
It's just an insane conclusion to draw. Aside from the fact that that's just so destructive and ridiculous and sexist and wrong, if people want to backlash the antidote to Trump, in many cases that is women, that's women of color.
Yeah. Kamala Harris is why we should nominate a woman again.
We agree, Mika. Kamala should run again. When MS and the Obamas are brawling, you know the base is breaking. And they're not just broken, they're broke. The DNC had to take out a $15 million loan last month because they blew all their cash to win a few blue states 3 weeks back. They got some power back, but they still can't get it together. The Sombrero Boys botched the shutdown, and now the Epstein files are exploding like a Coke boat. They thought they could Epstein Trump, but it ricocheted and hit them right in the Harris.
Madam Vice President, can you tell us why your administration didn't release the Epstein files? Can you tell us? 4 years, you guys didn't do it. What's your take on it?
Now the whole country knows that a pedophile funded their party while they begged him for dinner dates and dating advice and texted about TDS. But if you think that's wrong, you're racist.
The idea or the audacity to decide that you want to strip a Black woman of her committee assignment because she was texting with Epstein, but you don't even want to dig into the nitty-gritty about what the President of the United States was up to?
Bill and Hillary Clinton have their depositions scheduled in just a few weeks. Comer says if they ditch, that means contempt, and contempt could mean jail. How much you want to bet Bill transitions so he can serve time in a women's prison?
Ladies and gentlemen, do you really think that Donald Trump is going to sign off on releasing the Epstein files and not have a boatload of stuff that he's going to throw in the Democrats' direction? Trump has become a verb. He's trumping the Democrats at every turn, playing them like a fiddle.
Every time Democrats try to light the fire of resistance, they end up burning down the party. Now Eric Swalwell wants to rise from the ashes like a phoenix.
I came here tonight, Jimmy, to tell you and your audience that I'm running to be the next governor of California.
Is California ready for First Lady Fang Fang? It's anyone's race. He's up against Katie Porter, who scolded her husband with a steaming pot of mashed potatoes and storms out of interviews if she doesn't like the cut of your jib. Once he beats the mortgage fraud rap, I'm sure he'll clean Katie's clock. Why is it that every Democrat has baggage? A House Democrat just got indicted for stealing $5 million in FEMA funds. $5 million. She's accused of funneling the money to a family company and then kicking it back to her campaign. But if you believe that, you guessed it, you're racist.
It's an unjust indictment, and it seems like these intimidation tactics have been pervasive. If this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, Black and brown people, then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district.
She got caught with her hand in the cookie jar and blamed whites for noticing. Every time a Democrat steps in it, Brooklyn Barack takes another lump.
Are you at all concerned that the recent allegations against Democrats, such as communicating with a sex offender and embezzling FEMA funds, are going to harm the momentum that your party carried out of the elections earlier this month?
We're going to continue to focus on the issues that matter for the American people. Affordability.
Just saying the word affordability doesn't mean you're focused on it. You actually have to do something. Stealing money and committing mortgage fraud only makes life affordable for them, not the rest of the country. What is the Democrat plan for affordability besides stealing money and committing mortgage fraud? We don't know. Trump's lasered in on prices. That's why Zoran's in town. The only thing Democrats are focused on is themselves and getting out of trouble. A Democrat in Tennessee just got caught calling her whole city deplorable.
I hate the city, I hate the bachelorettes, I hate the pedal taverns, I hate country music. I hate all of the things that make Nashville, apparently, an it city to the rest of the country, but I hate it.
So her name's Afton Ben. She also said her state's racist and sororities are white supremacy. It's been a rough week for Afton.
I look a little rough. I have bags under my eyes because the Republican eye of Sauron has finally shifted towards moi. Sure, I get mad at the Bachelorette sometimes. I get mad at the pedal taverns, right? And you're talking to someone who has cried no less than 10 times in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
That's what Democrats are missing. They don't love people. They hate people. Mamdani and Trump have that in common. They love people. They love the people they represent. Maybe they have different plans, but they're men of the people. And that's what their focus is on, not themselves, workers. If all politicians could look out for you instead of themselves, this country would take off. So if Kami Mamdani's MAGA curious and the Bernie bros want to flirt with America first, Trump's got a big tent, and he's not going anywhere.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, you know, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City.
Welcome to Hannity. And tonight, the Democratic Party's rising star is now becoming a national embarrassment in real time. In a truly unhinged new video, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett now trying to circle the wagons around fellow lawmaker Stacey Plaskett after documents revealed her inappropriate ties to convicted child sex predator Jeffrey Epstein. At the same time, Crockett is attempting to smear Republicans, accusing them of accepting donations from Epstein. But what Crockett fails to realize is that Jeffrey Epstein is a pretty common name. In just a minute, we're going to introduce you to the man who made those campaign contributions, Dr. Jeffrey Epstein. He donated to Lee Zeldin. He's a real neurosurgeon from Long Island, New York. Our friend Stephen A. Smith will weigh in on that. You don't want to miss it. Also, when you thought California politics could not get any worse, think again. Well, Congressman, Mr. Fang Fang now wants to be Governor Fang Fang. And later, we'll preview a wild new documentary detailing the 80-year global cover-up of UFO secrets. But we do begin this Friday night with a frightening sight, a devout communist inside the Oval Office. You don't see this every day, behind the resolute desk on the very same day that the U.S. Congress voted to condemn socialism. Now, thankfully, he was standing beside President Trump. Now, New York City Mayor-elect Zoran, as we affectionately call him, Kami Marxist Mamdani, was there and asked to meet with President Trump. The president graciously accepted, despite some pretty harsh smears leveled by Mamdani on the campaign trail against President Trump. Here's a reminder.
Just days ago, you referred to President Trump as a despot who had betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together.
Been called a lot worse. Now, this could be a lesson for Democrats. Now, the president will put aside political differences, work with anyone, anywhere, anytime to make every corner of our country a better place. Take a listen.
We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people. We talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built, and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York. And we've got them down, way down from last year. I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Now, ultimately, this video of Mamdani and Trump in the Oval Office getting along, having a productive meeting is really only horrifying for Democrats. Where's the guy that was on the campaign trail saying he's going to beat Donald Trump's worst nightmare? Now, their far-left hero is shaking hands with the guy they called a fascist and a Nazi and a racist. That's got to be very confusing for them. But maybe, just maybe, this will help some on the left emerge from their anti-Trump psychosis, come back to reality. I am not holding my breath. Let me make a prediction. Over time, they will clash. They will clash heavily, and Donald Trump will win. So what went on behind today's closed-door meeting, and will Mamdani revert back to his extremist, Trump-hating, name-calling self when he gets back to New York? Probably.
Rosie. All right. So you know what they say. Opinions are like a-holes. If you're seeing too many, stop watching The View. Over there, they said it was obvious Trump was connected to Epstein.
But isn't it obvious that that Trump was involved with Epstein? I mean, there are more pictures of him with Epstein than pictures of Kim Kardashian of herself.
Yes. Right.
But listen, how many more things do we have to see before people believe that he was involved with Epstein?
So Trump's mentioned over 1,000 times, but he could have been mentioned by anyone under any circumstance. I bet Joy's emails contain 1,000 mentions of quarter pounders. But that doesn't mean she's banging Ronald McDonald.
Hamburglar.
Yeah, I was thinking of Hamburglar. And I'm sure if you look at all the View's emails, you'll find thousands of Trump mentions too. Does that mean Trump paid Joy or Whoopi for sex? If that were true, he would have leaned into the bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania. But that whole exchange illustrates a good point when assessing all this Epstein crap. Now that Trump signed off on releasing the files, be careful what you wish for. Like a mechanical bull in a bar, the story's tossing Democrats off left and right. Stacey Plaskett, Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Hakeem Jeffries. But Trump, he's not riding the bull. It feels like he's operating it, which is what he ends up doing with about everything. So you shouldn't let the whirlwind of what ifs overshadow the what is. Like the Stacey Plaskett scandal. If we're the only one, it would be enough. The Democrat congresswoman from the U.S. Virgin Islands was caught texting with Epstein during a congressional hearing in 2019. Turns out she also worked for Epstein's lawyer and received money from him after his conviction. So if you've ever wondered how was Epstein able to run a sex trafficking ring for years without anyone stopping it, it's because he knew which palms to grease. The entire story is about that kind of collusion, which allowed him to not only abuse countless women, but to maintain its secrecy. So Stacey's story is at the heart of corruption, where midwit politicians help and get help from the very people they claim they know nothing about. Here's Plaskett absurdly justifying the whole exchange.
But like many constituents, individuals get your phone number, they text you about issues, they speak with you. I have spoken with him about issues that are relevant, things that are going on in the Virgin Islands and elsewhere around the country.
Right, but on that day that we're talking about, you initiated the text exchange at 7:55 in the morning. So why were you even texting with Epstein at the time? He was a known sex offender then.
Sure. You know, I explain to people, I've been a prosecutor for many years. And there are a lot of people who have information that are not your friends, that you use to get information to get at the truth.
I think we just did. Yeah, Epstein was a constituent, and Dylan Mulvaney was a MILF. So that's a big deal, and we should probably get to the bottom of it. But here's the other reason we should slow down with all this. The vote to release the files mandates that the DOJ turns over, quote, unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials, and all classified info to the maximum extent possible. In other words, key documents could stay confidential. So maybe lower our expectations. Remember the JFK files, the UFO crap? Just titillation followed by evaporation. Because we never get the whole truth. It's like the government treats us like little kids, shielding us from reality. Like your mom not telling you that the shopping mall Santa you just sat on was actually a down-and-out MC Hammer. But we're learning stuff anyway about life behind the curtain. It reminds me of those grade school field trips where you go to a local factory to see how stuff's made. It's that way with the Epstein story. We've gone behind the scenes to see how powerful elites operate. Is this what they do for fun? Was it common? What's that table for? Why are there restraints on the walls? And why does the guy in leather chaps look a lot like Larry Kudlow? So we're now seeing how a certain segment of society operates. And it explains how untethered elites use their wealth to satisfy their sexual appetites. So maybe it's not some random scandal. Instead, it's a roadmap. And Democrats might not be ready for where it leads. Charlie, you're probably sick of talking about this, but it's because it's like a big pile of crap, and you got to sift through it and find the stuff. What interests you?
Yeah, and I think you're right about it. I think that you do want to sort of temper what might come out next, but what's really important is what's already come out.
Yeah.
The whole story that we know as we know it is shocking and horrifying, and you know, we'll see whether or not more names surface, more things come out. But just the thing with the Stacey Plaskett lady, it's you know, she was literally texting with him. He was telling her what to ask about Donald Trump. And then if you look at the transcript, she's asking exactly what he texted her to ask during the hearing. Not asking Trump, but asking about Trump. And so, you know, the idea that she is clearly, you know, that's a constituency of one. Mm-hmm. She was, you know, she was his hand puppet, and she was doing exactly what he wanted her to do. Mm-hmm. And so I do that. The big picture, though, I think that it's a little bit like the sort of Russia collusion hoax, except we already know the end of the movie. Yeah. We already know how all of this ends. And so far, what we've seen is, everything is backfired on Democrats. And I don't think that, I don't have any reason to believe that it's going to stop.
Sherrod.
Gregory.
How are you?
Can't complain.
That is good. When you hear about how awful these people were on Epstein Island, do you feel better about yourself?
Well, Greg, I'll tell you this. A lot of rich, powerful people rumored to be on that list. Rich and powerful.
Yes.
I would love to be on that list. It would change my life. You'd be like, Sherrod was doing better than we thought.
Yes.
He was on the list right after Bill Clinton.
No, it's like, you would make that deal?
It would I would buy my mama a house with that information. Or maybe Platskin. Is it Platskin or Platsky?
Platskin.
Platskin. Maybe she thought Jeffrey was in charge. After all, she represents the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
This crowd don't deserve me.
I find the audience is very sensitive to certain jokes today. Did you notice that?
It's because they saw the Christmas tree out front. They all want to get a gift from Santa.
Well, the gift will be humor.
That's right.
Very little gifts. Sean, okay, you're a smart guy. You started the Federalist. What's your take on this whole story, and what's your prediction of where it leads?
I'm kind of tired of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
The people talking don't know anything. The people who know the stuff aren't talking. And I kind of wish we would dispense with the kabuki theater where they're all pretending to really get to the bottom of it. All the documents that would have told us anything have to be long gone. And the thing I would like to know is just tell us who he was working for.
Yeah.
We all know he was not a random constituent or just a happy money manager. He was doing stuff for someone, probably someone's. Just tell us who it is.
Yeah, you think it's a foreign country?
Mossad?
Plural.
Mossad? Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say Mossad. I think even Netanyahu believes that, right?
Yeah, he said it today.
Yes.
There's an article he tweeted today about how Epstein was involved in Israeli politics, but against Netanyahu, that he was trying to rig the 2019 elections for Ehud Barak.
Which makes sense. It does make sense because Epstein would not like Netanyahu.
And Ehud Barak stayed at his house in New York, didn't he?
I don't know. And then what about Barack Hussein Obama?
Never heard of him. Leave that black man out of this.
All right, Kat, you want to jump in? I know that this is quite a topic we've covered this week.
Yeah. Sure is. I want to know if she came up with it herself or who told her that it was a convincing argument that he was her constituent. Like, it's so crazy because, sure, but, like, there's a lot of constituents. You have so many constituents. What difference does that make?
Right.
Like, you have constituents who are crackheads. You can't be like, well, I went to go pick up this crack because I needed to get it for my constituent. I just can't wait until a man uses it to justify an affair.
Yes.
Like, this woman was my constituent. I had to let her blow me.
Oh, it's funny when a girl says it. You know, it's like, you know what it is? It's like we have millions of viewers, and it's like just because they have the TV show on in prison.
Yeah.
It's like those are still inmates who did horrible crimes.
I feel like it's political advice that you wouldn't think anyone needs, that, like, yes, you're there to serve your constituents, but the pedophiles get a lower spot on the list.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Virgin Islands. Can't you speak to, like, the Mighty Sparrow or somebody else who live on the island? There's other people who live in the Virgin Islands you can speak to.
Yes.
But sometimes you got to talk to criminals to really find out. That's how they do it on Law and Order.
Yeah.
This crowd's back.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.